coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Shin Se-min. But before we get started, these are the stories topping the hour. Travel restrictions for all people going in and out of South Korea and Japan begins, with both countries nullifying short-term visas over mounting coronavirus fears. The ratcheting up in travel curbs being seen as an extension of their political spat. Also starting today, new measures on buying face masks in South Korea. Mask purchases at pharmacies will require IDs as the government limits the number each person can buy to 2 a week. North Korea at it again. Just a week after the regime carried out live fire artillery exercises, Pyongyang fires 3 unidentified projectiles into the East Sea. This after the leader sent a condolence letter to South Korea's president over the coronavirus outbreak. Our starting point this morning, the COVID-19 outbreak rekindling a long simmering diplomatic row between South Korea and Japan. Both Seoul and Tokyo, starting today, have tightened border control on travelers from and to each side. It's the first time most of their air routes between the two neighboring countries are being halted since they were connected 70 years ago. Our Kim Hyo-sun starting us off.
The South Korean government is imposing stronger entry restrictions on Japanese nationals entering the country starting Monday. The move, which comes immediately after Tokyo's stronger restrictions on South Koreans, includes a 3-stage screening scheme. It's also suspending visas and visa waivers for Japanese nationals. Currently, Japanese visitors can stay in Korea for 90 days without visa. Seoul says it will not issue visas for Japanese nationals unless they submit a health document which states whether they have any COVID-19 symptoms. As of Monday midnight, the Japanese government also suspended the 90-day visa-free entry program for South Koreans, while adopting a 14-day self-quarantine for those flying in from South Korea. This means South Koreans need to get visas in order to travel to Japan, which the Japanese embassy in Seoul explained would be time-consuming. Seoul describes such move as, quote, unfair and unscientific. Japan is among more than 100 countries that have imposed curbs on travelers from South Korea. Seoul's foreign ministry explained that so far, nearly 1,500 South Koreans have been quarantined in countries, including China and Vietnam. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
President Moon Jae-in will be meeting with his top aides this afternoon to discuss the coronavirus outbreak here in the nation. He will likely call for the public's cooperation so that 5-day rotation system for face mask purchases runs smoothly. He is also expected to stress the need for all-out efforts with quarantine measures to stop the spread of the virus. Another focus will be on whether President Moon will comment on Japan's new entry restrictions on South Korea. The National Security Council last week blasted Tokyo's decision, saying it was unreasonable and that there has been no prior consultations with Seoul. As of early Monday morning, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in South Korea stands over 7,300. Now, that's an increase of 179 cases since the start of Sunday. The death toll remains at 50, with mostly older patients with underlying illnesses. The 50th death was at a nursing home in Gyeongsangbuk-do province, not far from Daegu, the center of the outbreak in the country. A 78-year-old woman tested positive at the nursing home last Thursday and was moved to a hospital in Kimcheon for treatment, but later died on Saturday afternoon. The coronavirus is sweeping through the world, especially Italy. Now, that country has now surpassed South Korea for the most number of confirmed patients outside of China, with hundreds dying of the virus. Now, the surge in numbers has led to Italy taking some historically strong countermeasures. Our Lee Seung-jae tells us more.
With over 1,400 new COVID-19 cases reported on Sunday alone, Italy surpassed South Korea as the country with the most confirmed coronavirus patients outside of China. It's also reporting hundreds of virus-related deaths. In light of the surge, popular tourist sites in Italy were shut on Sunday as the Italian government began taking drastic measures to stop the spread of the virus.
We came with the intention of visiting all the beautiful places that there are in Rome. But we talked to another French couple, and they told us that everything would be shut down until April 3rd.
The Italian government's measures include all museums, cinemas, and theaters being closed until at least April 3rd, meaning the cancellation of all concerts and public and private events. It's also led to the shutdown of a major exhibition in Rome, showcasing more than 100 paintings and drawings by Raphael, marking the 500th anniversary of his death. The Vatican also announced on Sunday that it was shutting its museums, which includes banning public access to the Sistine Chapel. The measures are a part of the government's decree to close off its northern regions, putting 16 million people under quarantine and locking down the entire Lombardy region, which includes major urban areas like Milan, Venice, and Parma. Germany is also witnessing a spike in the number of confirmed patients, with the number surpassing 1,000 on Sunday. Germany's health minister has ordered events with more than 1,000 participants to be canceled. The measures could mean the cancellation of many events, including Bundesliga football matches and rock concerts. The U.S. is also beginning to see an uptick in the number of patients, with New York the worst hit. In the state's most drastic measures to date, New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo on Sunday advised that New Yorkers refrain from gathering in crowded places, including workspaces and mass transportation. Experts fear the latest surge in the number of confirmed patients worldwide could just be the start, as the total number of cases globally surpasses 105,000. 이 승재, Arirang News.
With protective face masks in short supply in light of the coronavirus outbreak, the South Korean government is limiting the number of masks each person can buy to 2 per person per week. Now, this takes effect today, but there will be some exceptions for senior citizens and children. Our Ji-young tells us more.
Starting Monday, mask purchases at pharmacies will require ID because a 5-day rotation system will take effect, under which only 2 masks can be bought per person per week and only on designated days. First Vice Finance Minister Kim Yong-bum at a press briefing on Sunday mentioned some exceptions though, saying pharmacies will be allowed to sell masks to people buying them for others if the other person is 10 or younger, 80 or older, or if they have a disability.
People can buy masks for someone else if their family registration says they live with someone who is 10 or younger, or 80 or older, but they can only purchase the mask on that person's assigned day.
Under the 5-day rotation system, the day for buying masks is determined by the last digit of a person's birth year. People born in a year ending with either 1 or 6 can buy masks on Mondays. Those ending in 2 or 7 can buy on Tuesdays, 3 or 8 on Wednesdays, 4 or 9 on Thursdays, and those born in a year ending in 5 or 0 can buy their masks on Fridays. People unable to purchase masks during the week can do so on the weekend. Meanwhile, speaking Sunday at Daegu City Hall, Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun urged people to cooperate so that the system can settle in smoothly.
Despite the inconvenience that this may cause, we ask people to show a major sense of citizenship so that those who really need the masks can buy them first.
Chung also asked people to use cotton masks, which can be washed and reused instead of the disposable ones. Also, to further relieve the shortage, the South Korean government decided to make it easier for ordinary people to buy masks from overseas. According to the Korea Customs Service, when buying masks, hand sanitizers, and thermometers, there will be no import duties or special paperwork to file until the end of June, but this only applies to items for personal use. People will be able to import an amount worth up to $150 or $200 when bought from the United States. Ji-young, Arirang News.
With the coronavirus outbreak showing no signs of dying down, South Korea's 3-year government bond yield briefly fell below 1%, dropping to 0.998% this morning before recovering. Now, this is after the 3-year government bond yield closed a little over 1% on the final trading day of last week, with experts forecasting a more serious impact from the COVID-19. On the first trading day of the week, shares in South Korea opened sharply lower over the COVID-19 spread and falling oil prices. The benchmark Kospi plunged at the start, falling below the psychologically important 2,000-point level to 1980.99 in the first 15 minutes of trading. Korea's secondary bourse Kosdaq was also down a little over 2% in the first half an hour of trading. The coronavirus outbreak has slammed the global airline industry. South Korean airlines are forecast to see their sales drop by billions of dollars as a result. In an effort to help airlines as bookings dry up, the United States is also considering offering tax relief for U.S. airlines to help them navigate those stormy waters. Our Hong Yu reports.
As the coronavirus outbreak continues to spread around the world, the global airline industry is facing what some are calling a shutdown crisis. By the end of June, South Korea's airline industry is forecast to see its combined sales slump by at least $4.2 billion. This is due to entry restrictions and bans on travelers from South Korea and lower overall travel demand due to the virus. The Korea Civil Aviation Association said the number of travelers for the fourth week of February was almost 66% lower than the same period last year. But the damage could be even bigger going forward, as these numbers were calculated before Japan restricted entry of people coming in from South Korea. And for low-cost carriers that currently rely on domestic flights for the majority of their profits, losses are mounting up fast. Making matters worse, starting Monday, T-Way Air, Jean Air, EasterJet, and Air Busan are temporarily suspending all flights to Japan. South Korea's flagship carrier, Korean Air, saw its number of passengers drop more than 37% on year in February. In response, South Korea's Transport Ministry offered up to $254 million in emergency loans last month to low-cost carriers and delayed payment of airport usage fees for up to 3 months. But ministry officials will continue to meet airline executives to hear what they require. In the U.S., the Trump administration is considering a tax deferral to help U.S.-based airlines ride out the crisis.
We may have to go back to Congress for additional appropriation requests. That's May. We don't know yet. But again, please, the story I'm trying to tell is a story of timely and targeted micro forms of assistance, not gargantuan across the board, throw money at the problem, which has never worked in the past, because we think we will get out of this within months.
President Trump also signed an $8.3 billion bill last Friday to boost the U.S. response to the coronavirus outbreak. The International Air Transport Association forecasts airlines worldwide could lose up to $113 billion because of the outbreak. It added the collapse of Flybe, a low-cost British airline, is proof that urgent action is needed to protect the industry. But if the virus is contained and the world economy recovers fast enough, the association says total losses could be limited to $63 billion. Hong Yu, Arirang News.
Shifting focus, North Korea has fired 3 unidentified projectiles this morning, just 1 week after the regime conducted what it called live fire artillery exercises. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said the projectiles were fired northeastward into the East Sea from Seondok in Hamgyeongbuk-do province, and that it is closely monitoring the situation while maintaining a readiness posture. 1 week ago today, the regime held what it called a long-range artillery drill presided over by leader Kim Jong-un, the first such provocation this year. The details of today's launch, including the type of projectiles, flight range, and altitude, are yet to be determined. The North Korea previously used this location in its northeast last August to fire 2 projectiles presumed to be short-range ballistic missiles.
Good morning. It felt more like early April on Sunday afternoon, and the warming trend continues on this Monday, with temperatures expected to reach the mid to upper teens in most parts of the country. So we'll have a warm afternoon ranging from 15 to 17 degrees Celsius in most parts of the country, with wet clouds moving in. Meanwhile, western regions will have high levels of ultra-fine dust throughout the day. Now, rain is in store from the mid-afternoon, starting from Jeju and Jeollanam-do province, which will gradually spread to rest of the country by tonight, and it's going to rain nationwide. And the further south you are, more rain you'll see. Jeju will receive up to 60 millimeters of rainfall. Southern provinces will see 10 to 30 millimeters. So it's going to be a rainy Tuesday for most regions, while temperatures will go up and down this week from sub-zero to double-digit afternoon highs. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
That is it for us at this hour on Arirang News. As always, thank you for watching and goodbye.